Hello. Good morning, Leslie. I see a little note here. It says, "Oh, trying to get to LinkedIn." Let's see if it happens.
Okay.
How are you today?
I'm well, and you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. It was a difficult winter season for me,
Oh man.
for a lot of us.
Yeah.
But I'm doing well. I'm kind of on the other side of it, as happens with difficulties. Sometimes it's like if you just hang in there long enough, you get to the other side. Yeah.
So here's my theme
Mm,
about hanging in and
mm,
getting to the other side. It
mm.
yesterday was March 4th.
March
The
4th. Uh-huh.
only date in the year that is a command.
Oh.
March 4th.
That's right. We
Although you
must.
could say the whole month of March, every day is a command.
Right,
March,
right.
March, March. Well, March
Forward
4th,
march.
that tells you where to go. And I think that brings to mind in my mind the idea of keep on keeping on,
All right.
and uh, perseverance and
Yeah,
resilience. And you have been persevering through this
that's right.
cold and winter,
Yes.
and now you're
Yeah.
on the other side. You
Ah.
kept on keeping on.
That's right. No, I'm really grateful and thankful for the support around me and the resources around me, right? And the mental health support and resources around me. Because,
Yeah.
gosh, when I think about how many people, because I sit on the board of directors for a couple of nonprofits. I recently left one of them, but mental health nonprofits. And when I look at the people that we serve,
Hmm.
who just struggle with resources, I'm really lucky to have such incredible professionals, and then even friends,
Yeah.
friends and family who've been very supportive. So that's really good. But that brings me to, like, when we talk about emotional resilience, um, somebody said, there was something about, what was it I was reading? Oh yeah, my friend Richard was talking about a quote, and I said it to my Jay, and he was like, "Oh yeah, Art of War, Sun Tzu." I was like, "Oh, okay." And it was, if you sit on the riverbank long enough, eventually you'll see the dead bodies of your enemies float by, right? And I was like, "Oh, like waiting out the storm, like waiting out the war, like waiting, like if you wait, and I was like, you can kind of, sometimes emotional resilience isn't fighting, right? Getting into the drama, getting into the chaos. Sometimes it is just sitting still while the chaos happens and works itself out,
Hmm.
right? And I feel like the last month, that's kind of what I've been doing, because I went to Greece. Like, things were finally calming down, and my bestie had a free cruise.
Oh,
And
wow.
she was like, "Hey, I know you love Greece, and we haven't been able to spend a whole lot of time together lately because she's been working in the last year so much. She does a lot of work worldwide and also around the country. So we haven't spent a lot of time together." And she said, "Let's go on a cruise for your birthday." So we did birthday cruise in February, and I really kind of just extracted myself for 3 weeks and let the dust settle. And
Yeah.
it it was great. I slept, I read, I saw new interesting places that were inspiring to me. It was really great to go see spots that were the ancient world,
Hmm.
and you can see how civilization has come on top of that, right? Because
Hmm.
there's like the old world, but then there's like ancient history where they
Yeah.
take you up on a mountain and they go, "Look, one of the seventh wonders of the world." Like, if you can imagine this field, it was the Temple of Artemis, like this amazing. I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
yeah." So you take a picture of the field, and I like brought it back to my kids, and they're like, "What's that, mommy?" "It's a field." I was like, "Yeah, but a long, 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 long time ago, that was
Yeah.
something." And
Yeah.
it's just interesting to think about how things change, they shift, the new thing comes, the next thing comes on top of that. And you get these layers and layers and layers.
Yeah.
Uh, I,
But, you went to Greece, but when
uh,
you started talking about Sun Tzu and The Art of War
yeah,
reminded me also of another thing
uh-huh,
that I think of as keep on pushing, and that is Xi'an, China,
uh-huh.
with the terracotta warriors.
Oh, right.
What on it's an amazing place. I went there when I was speaking in China,
Uh-huh.
and it it was amazing. Here are thousands and thousands and thousands of larger than life
Yeah,
warriors crafted out of terracotta, and I'm thinking of the work that
right.
involved. It's just amazing.
And
And
everything that they've withstood throughout time.
yeah, and there they are, and that they had been kind of crumbled, but the people are putting them back together, and the ones
Mm,
that are back together are just they're just beautiful.
mm.
And I think of that also as sort of the resilience and keep on pushing,
Yeah,
of I
that's right.
think that was my impression, not very good one.
The thing that I do with my kids, because they want to give up, right? You're very impatient when you're a kid, right? If
Yeah,
it doesn't work the first time, you throw it out. I
yeah.
mean, actually, unfortunately, I've met some adults that way too, but um, children they have a small little attention spans, and so a lot of times it's me being able to create that space for them as well as they're
Mhm.
learning. So if they try something, it doesn't work out the first time, instead of me getting in there and going, "Oh, this is how you do it, and let me open it, and this is how," instead I just sit back and I go, "Oh, well, okay, honey," I'm like, all right, I'm kind of watching and paying attention. Like my daughter made dinner for the first time last night. No help, no anything. She made tortellinis and meatballs. It was great. My son was a sous chef. He did garlic bread. He does great garlic toast. Um, but she's like, oh, "How about this? How about, oh, it's not working, huh?" And I'm just like, kind of, well, could you try it a different way? Oh, that didn't work either, and I don't get engaged in her little fit or her drama or her chaos. I just kind of wait for it to play. And then I go, well, what about a different way? Is there another way you could try? And I think when we teach kids that early, it inspires more of a curiosity rather than oh my gosh, I got to get it right, or I'm going to get in trouble, or I got to get it right, or mom's going to come in and go, "Oh, what are you doing? Here, this is how you do it. Let me," you know,
Yeah.
which oftentimes, I have to admit, like sometimes I'm in a hurry and I'm in a rush and I want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have done that before, but I really try to just kind of give them that space to go through the process so that they can persevere and they have the experience of the discomfort. And then they know, if I try it this way, if I try it that way, oh, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to come out the other side. And
Yeah.
those small moments for kids, I think. Well, you were just visiting with you were around your grandkids. So,
I was around my grandkids, and I reminded them of
uh-huh.
of something that I taught my children, and that is that when you get down and
Mm,
things like don't seem to be good and you're ready to give up,
mm.
I reminded them to remember that things change.
Yeah.
And it may be a bad day today, but tomorrow it may be a good day. And when I did that with my kids, who I was, of course, with every day, um, when they were having a really great day, I would stop them and say, "Hey, you're having a great day. Remember yesterday when you were so down and thought
Oh,
nothing
yeah.
was ever going to go right again? And now it's going right. Remember, things change, things keep on changing," which
Yeah.
takes me to another ancient history and back to Greece,
Uh-huh.
Heraclitus and his delta.
Yes.
Things
Yes.
change.
Things change.
All is
Absolutely.
change and all is
Yeah, that's
flux.
right.
Uh,
That's right.
yeah. So,
How does that play out with developers, right? When we're
so
talking about developing.
when you're talking about the importance of resilience and change with developers, especially people who are working on innovation,
Mm,
you have to be ready and able to deal with change. I
mm.
remember as a very young developer, this really, really dates me. I was working on a product for Windows 1.0.
I was just looking up the history of languages this morning, actually.
And we were almost done with this product, and it was a commercial off the shelf product, a lot like Lotus 123 at the time. Only Lotus hadn't come out yet, but we were ahead. Um, my boss, I learned so much from him. He came down to the R&D space and he said, "We're going to have to change the operating system to Windows 2.0 because it has a file system." Whoa. And I'm like, what? This
But it's made.
Yeah,
We've been working
we're
all this
almost
time.
there, and now you want us to shift everything and go with it, and of course, yes, at at that time in the history of software and technology,
Mm,
things changed approximately every 9 months to a year,
yeah.
and we had the platform would shift underneath you, and so you had to keep moving up. It was
Yes.
Windows 2 and then 3 and then 4, and then all of a sudden it became Windows 95, something. um, but it was constantly changing, and that was Microsoft and Intel's way of selling new products, was just
Sure.
keep on making these others obsolete, and
Right.
everybody has to buy a new one. Everybody has to buy a new computer. There were no laptops then. It was you buy a
Mm.
new computer, which is a big hunking thing. And
And it just came with the operating system. See, I remember also you had to make updates. You had your floppy disk to
yeah,
stick it in to, yeah, you had to bring, and then, you had those codes. I mean, now you just do little updates. It
it
goes, hey,
gets
you get another update. Just
yeah,
download
it
it.
updates so simple. And I remember a time when I was working for Novell, and when we wanted our customers to update, they had to. It wasn't floppy disks by then; it was the
CDs.
CD-ROMs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had to insert. I think it was 23
Wow.
different CD-ROMs to
Well, and
just
it
get
has to
the
be in the
whole
right
thing.
time too. I remember that. It has to be in the right order, and you had to
Yeah,
let the first one go because if you took it out too soon, nope, you start over again.
yeah. And our lead engineer would say, we've got to have a simpler way for our users because this is way too complicated. And of course, now there are much simpler ways,
Yeah.
but then there weren't. And
Yeah.
so the point about it is you have to be willing to keep changing. You have to be resilient enough to say, "Oh my gosh, I've given the last year of my life to this
Right.
product, and now you're telling me it's obsolete." I well, I was young. It didn't, it seemed like a lot of work,
Yeah.
but I learned that we had to be resilient. We had to keep on pushing to get
Mm.
over to the next version of things. And sometimes I would release a product, and that very day, the Wall Street Journal would report that that company had gone bankrupt and was out of business. And
Wow.
it was a very fast churn
Very fast
at
turn.
that time. So when people are working on innovation, they need to
Yeah.
remember that things change.
It's a
And
lot of
that's
instability,
that's back
chaos.
to the Delta, that's back to Heraclitus, back to Greece. Things change, and you have
Mm.
to get resilient enough to be
Yeah.
able to deal with that change. And so then, you have the, let's see, coming from this direction, you have the curve of change, which you immediately go down. And then when you start to see what's in it for you, you
Uh-huh.
can start coming up. But people's response to change is to initially their productivity goes down, their mood
Yes.
goes down, their
Right.
ugh, life's a bitch, that everything goes
Yes.
down. And
Everything.
then they might stay there for a long time at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But it's but when you can show them what's in it for them,
Uh-huh.
or they can figure that out for themselves,
Uh-huh.
they start to see a new way for themselves.
Right.
And you, as an expert in emotional resilience, can probably tell that a lot better than I just did.
No, no, that absolutely makes sense. Because productivity, and we were talking about this. I have a group chat of developers. It's like I belong to this chat, and I know a lot of people belong in different. I really, really cherish all of these people. It's a really great group, and they always they were talking about, well, if you hang in there long enough, like eventually, something's going to shift. Something's going to shift because things, they don't stay the same. It
Yeah.
really doesn't ever stay the same. The problem, of course, is, if you are in an abusive and unhealthy a place where it's toxic, it doesn't really make sense for you to hang in there until things shift, because sometimes actually companies don't make it up. The product doesn't come back. I had somebody who was talking about a game that they worked on that never saw the light of day. They spent 5
Mhm.
years working on that game, and it never, and they really believed it. And then, they took a pay cut, and then, the whole team, and they just kept going down, down, down. And they're like, I wish I would have gotten out sooner. I wish I've gotten out sooner, because it never really came up. But what we know is that our moods, it's related to productivity.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody had submitted a talk about how our psychological safety is really important in agile development, right? In productivity, and how they're related.
Hmm.
And the organization came back to this person and said, yeah, no, that's not important topic. No, we're not interested. Please change it to this instead. We don't want to hear you talk about that. And they were pretty upset, because they're like, actually, that's completely related. Productivity is absolutely related to psychological safety, to how we feel, how trust, right? How we trust
Yeah.
the company, how we trust their ability to come back up, to motivate us, to give us the tools that we need, the resources that we need to continue on, to keep on keeping on. And if you
Hmm.
don't have that, then there's no trust. You're not going to have that psychological safety. Everybody's mood is just going to be crap. Nobody cares. The morale drops, and then forget it. And I've definitely come into communities where it was too late before, and they wanted to kind of pick everybody up, but it was like, oh, the psychological safety just isn't quite there. Like, we can try, but I just don't know, unless we can repair or demonstrate somehow that things are going to shift, and that they can now trust that things are going to shift and keep moving. I'm not really sure the productivity is going to be there, in fact.
You know, you're pointing out something that reminds me of a client that I had, excuse me, a while back.
Mm,
It was one of the phone companies that
okay.
spun out after the AT&T broke up into the little
Uh-huh.
bells.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me. And they had a team that was sort of an R&D team.
Okay.
And everybody on that team, they were working on an interesting project, as a future innovative project. But everybody on that team felt a real lack of productivity, lack of good
Mm,
morale, because they knew that their team was just going to keep losing money.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I thought, you really can't grade innovation
Right,
places on when are they going to start turning a profit.
right.
They're not. It's
Mhm.
going to take a long time. Their work is always
Always gonna be about the
before
research and the discovery.
things take
Uh-huh.
off and they start to make money. But that team was so depressed that
Mm.
their productivity was terrible.
Who
And
wants to go to work for
the
40
leader,
hours a week when you're
yeah,
always so disheartened, right?
yeah, and the leader asked if it would be a good idea to take them all out for a picnic and give them some free T-shirts and hot dogs.
Uh-huh.
I said, no amount of free T-shirts and hot dogs and picnics is going to
Right,
fix this. They
right.
needed to understand their role
And their
within the
value.
larger picture and see how it would ultimately lead to great things. They were working on interesting projects. They had a real flaw in their methodology. It didn't scale up, and I showed them that and how they could correct that. But I just thought, you know, taking
Yeah.
people out for a picnic when they're thinking we're spending money on a
We're
picnic
spending more money and we're not making enough
and
money.
we're
Yeah.
not making money, and
Right,
somebody might have to get laid off because we're wasting money on a picnic.
right.
Ooh, not good. You
Eh,
have to show them how their work
yeah.
contributes to the ultimate success. And
Mhm.
that is true for any company. Show the people how they matter,
Yes.
how they matter.
Yeah.
And that will make them a lot more resilient because they
Uh-huh.
know they matter.
Mhm.
They just have to work on this thing until it
Mhm.
gets better. And your friend who was working at the video game
Uh-huh.
company, I mean,
Right. It never got launched, it never got played. I mean, can you imagine, like, that's exactly what a game is for, and you tell everybody about it, and you're excited about it, and then, "Hey, when do I get to play that game?" No, they
yeah.
scrap it.
Well, and that goes back to the leadership issues.
Yeah,
And if
yeah.
the leader makes the wrong decisions, yeah, the stuff is never going to get launched. It
Right.
missed the opportunity, missed the window,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
or it can't compete because another company has built a similar game and
Got it
already
out the
has
door.
the total market. You have
Right.
to you have to have a good leader who can recognize where they are and make the right decisions.
Yeah.
And maybe maybe they have to say, okay, this isn't going to work. Let's look at what our skills are
Mhm.
and what we can produce.
Pivot.
And yeah, and you pivot and you tell each of them what their skills are and what their contributions are that make this, whatever it's going to be, make this
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
And that can make people get over the
Yeah.
fact that the product they've been working on isn't going to launch, but maybe they can take knowledge that they've gleaned from that
Sure.
opportunity, skills that they've learned,
Sure.
to the next level
I
of.
just had a session with somebody actually 2 nights ago. It was like, midnight. The timing was a little different because they're like 3 or 4 hours, time change from me being over here in the Las Vegas, you know? But,
Mhm.
talking about how, I see the issue and the leaders just they don't understand. Like I saw this at my last company and the company before that the company before that, and the market's just wrong. And I know, and I have this experience, and they just won't listen to me. They want to keep going along with this product. How do I get them to understand? How do I get them to hear me? Because they were saying, I just don't have the technical experience that they think, or and sometimes it's not the technical experience, and that was our conversation. Like sometimes it's the delivery.
Yes, and that's part of the communication skills and negotiation skills where you really have to understand your audience.
Yeah,
How
exactly.
is what does your audience care about?
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
if their audience was their senior leaders, they need to understand what those senior leaders care about in order to make their message be heard by those leaders. And
Yeah.
typically, senior leaders are caring about, financial well-being of the company, or they might be caring about
Yeah.
um, making the company fit for being sold.
Right.
And so that's a different thing.
Right.
You don't want to invest any more money. We want to be profitable, blah, blah, blah. Um,
Yeah.
but whatever it is that the senior
Yeah.
leaders care about, if you can fit your message to that,
Yeah.
then that's the way. So let's just say, for example,
Uh-huh.
that your senior leaders care about meeting a schedule
Okay.
and
Yeah.
delivering a product, say, in time for the big event in Las Vegas
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. It's a
in
big product
January.
launch. It's happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we want to have our product ready by then. And in order for that, we have to meet these deadlines.
Right.
And you have an idea for how to improve the quality of the product.
Uh-huh.
Well, that always sounds like something that's going to take more time. So what that
Always.
it's going to be it's going to be met by a wall
Uh-huh.
of pushback from your senior leaders.
Just get the demo. Just get the demo.
Yeah,
We need to
yeah,
get to Vegas. Give us the demo.
right. So the solution to that is to figure out yourself how what you have to offer will not push the schedule out.
Uh-huh.
Figure that out first.
Uh-huh.
Start with that.
Then
I've
approach
figured
that.
out that if we add such and such, our our schedule will actually improve because we won't be wasting time testing for bugs anymore that have really thrown us back
Uh-huh.
in the past. But now we'll be checking for quality from the beginning,
Yeah.
and it'll go faster.
Right.
Then you've got their attention. Of course, I just made all that up. You have to figure out what works for you in
Sure.
your situation.
But if you come right at them and you go, "Hey, I want to do this thing," and you're
Yeah,
not
it's like,
aligning it
no,
with
no,
what
no.
their number one mission is,
That's
it's just
exactly
going to
right.
be met with resistance.
The
Just yeah.
wall of silence.
Lip service. And yeah, yeah, we'll talk about it after the show
Maybe
in
next time.
Vegas. Yeah, right. Right, exactly. Well, lots of really good stuff here, Les. We're gonna be doing our LinkedIn lives again after, we've taken some breaks. So we'll be back every Wednesday, of course, at 9 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Pacific. So we'll be doing that. LinkedIn, it goes to YouTube, it also goes to Facebook. Did our Facebook stream? Yep, it looks like Facebook's going. So we'll be doing that on Wednesdays. And then, of course, we're going to be doing our monthly online as well on the second Friday of the month. So we'll be doing those. And people will be able to go to luckyandleslie.com. We have been adding more and more stuff. I don't know if people know this, but we've been adding more and more stuff to luckyandleslie.com. You can go in and enter your email, and you can download things. You can download Leslie's Safe for Work jokes, your engineering jokes. They're funny. We have recordings of our talks where we've talked before in our workshop, bits of our workshop. We have, what else is up there? The emotions wheel is up there. There's a couple of ebooks that you can download. So you can go to luckyandleslie.com and download those for free. Every now and then we send a newsletter. We've had our website. We've had our website for about 2.5 years. We've sent 2 newsletters. So I don't think you have to worry about us
Not bombarding.
spamming you or anything. So there's that. What else do we have coming up? What are you have any speaking at all? I know you've been doing
Oh,
a lot
I've
of
got some speaking gigs coming up.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Not major conferences, but
locally.
smaller events. Yep.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm. And
that's
some
always
virtual
fun.
things. I know you've been doing some of those too.
Yep.
I'll be going. What am I doing? I'm not going to the Microsoft MVP RD Summit. Of course, Jay will be there because he's been a regional director for like 4 or 5 years. I don't know. He's been an MVP. I don't know all the years. So 12, 13 years. So he'll be in Seattle. So anybody there, say hi vicariously. I won't be there. I'll be hanging out. Other
It's a
than that,
transitive property.
that's right.
Hello,
It's a
hello, hello.
transitive. Yeah, it totally works. Hug him and I'll just, it
You'll
works.
feel it.
Awesome. So I guess I will see you next Wednesday then.
Yep. See you next
Excellent.
Wednesday and
Okay.
have a
Wonderful.
great week.
Yeah, you too. I'll talk to you later, Les.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.